Thanks, everyone. Morning, everyone, and welcome. Delighted to be here with you. Just wanted to say a few words before we kick off and have some questions from the floor. Just to say that we're absolutely delighted to confirm and announce Eileen Gleeson yesterday. It's brilliant to be here with you as our new women's national team head coach for Ireland. It's a great day for football and a great day for football in Ireland, for the women's team and for women and girls football. I know that Eileen is very proud and privileged to take on this role and lead her country, and I'm sure she'll talk to that in a few minutes. It's an important role for us as an association for women's football to take it to the next phase and build on the great foundations that we've had and developed over many years, and in particular this year, 2023, which has been an extraordinary year for the women's team. So after a thorough and extensive recruitment process and speaking to coaches at home, near home and across the world, and Eileen came into the process and was our outstanding and preferred candidate and met all of the criteria we're looking for, which we're happy to talk about in a second. I'm sure you're wondering when Eileen came into the process. Again, something we can speak about more as we move through, but Eileen joined the process and went through the exact same steps that every candidate did at that stage, and we're happy to take questions on that shortly. Eileen met all the criteria we were looking for, which was brilliant. Is a modern coach, understands the Irish culture, Irish people and the Irish players, which are really important, and plays a progressive way of football, builds a really positive, inclusive environment, leads the team and gets the maximum out of that, brings through young players and has demonstrated a really inclusive leadership style, which is really, really important in her role as interim head coach, but also in other roles that she's had in Irish football, which is really pleasing. Ultimately, Eileen was successful in the process because she has a vision that's aligned with ours as an association. She also has a vision that's aligned with our pathway and everything we want to achieve over the next few years around football pathways and player pathways, and importantly having a golden thread, a green line, which we're going to call it, through our under-15s all the way to our senior team. Is modern and open to the best practice approaches, is ambitious, has great respect for everyone she works with, and builds a really positive and inclusive culture, which is absolutely key. Eileen is our head coach and is not our manager, and it's a subtle but an important difference which reflects a modern approach to modern football and global trends. Clearly, Eileen is the leader of the team, the players and the staff, but is also part of a wider ecosystem and structure to support the performance and development of the team. Will work closely with me, but Eileen's role clearly is around the performance and of the team, and my job and the association's job is to support Eileen, the players and the staff in the best possible way to lead that development. So just to summarise, we're delighted with this appointment, and congratulations to you, Eileen, to the players and the team, and quite simply we're looking forward for the story to continue, and we can't wait to see what happens next. So thank you for listening, and looking forward to some questions.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Tony covers it.
Congratulations, Eileen.
Thank you, Tony.
What changed your mind?
Well, you know, when I came into the process, I came in pretty speedily in a very tumultuous and transitional time. At that time, I was very much in the headspace of the head of women and girls football role, and coming in again at that period, it could have went anyway. You know, the team was decompressing from their first ever World Cup qualification. There was a change of management. There was a lot of transition. So for me as well, I had to, you know, get a feeling how it was for me as well. As I said, I was very much in the headspace of the head of women and girls football role, and you know, really committed to that, and it is a wonderful role. I was enjoying that role. And then as the camps went on, I started to, you know, really feel the connection again with the pitch and with the team, and you know, with the progress that we were making and the excitement of it. So yeah, I started to change my mind as the process went on, and you know, through conversations with Marc, then I expressed my interest and entered into the process.
It was all our questions asking you, wasn't it?
100% was. It was, you know, and I feel like it is a recruitment process, so I didn't feel the need to disclose that nationwide. Like all candidates, you know, confidentiality and privacy is very important, and I value that. I didn't tell many people at all, so I was hardly likely to come and discuss it in a nationwide capacity. You know, when I said I wasn't interested at that time, or wasn't, you know, pursuing the role, that was the truth at that moment. And as the campaign evolved, so did my feelings around the role and my interest levels in the role. And here we are today, and you know, it's the proudest time of my life. And I've been involved in women and girls football in Ireland for, as we know, over 30 years. So everything I've done is to you know, be the best coach and to, you know, really engage in continuous professional development on and off the pitch to end up in this role. And here I am. So, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more.
Marc, did you have to persuade her, or at what point in the process did you think Eileen was a suitable candidate?
Just to reinforce everything that Eileen said, that when Eileen took the role as interim, she was very, very clear that that was an interim capacity. Eileen was very clear. We were really clear that it was an interim up until the end of the campaign. So we activated a process that we worked with an external agency, a data analytics company, a recruitment agency, and we genuinely scoured the world in terms of that talent. So we had around 42 people on that process at the start, which we whittled down to 12 people that went through an extensive interview process, which then moved down to 7, which then moved down to 2. So Eileen came into that process at an appropriate time and went through all the same steps as everyone did, and won the role, deservedly so. So it wasn't a case of trying to persuade Eileen. We were very clear at the start that Eileen wasn't going to be that, but as Eileen's already expressed, that view changed, and we speak all the time. Yep. We work closely together in Eileen's current role, or the role yesterday or the day before, but now, and we'll continue to do that in this new role. So it wasn't a case of persuasion. It was just a case of, as Eileen said, moved through the role, feelings started to change. We speak all the time, and Eileen just expressed an interest to come into it. It was appropriate at the time because we hadn't moved too far in the process, and as I've said, Eileen was able to go through the steps that every candidate did, so it was absolutely appropriate to do that at that point. It's clear to say that we're absolutely delighted, and you did a brilliant job through the campaign, and we're looking forward to seeing what that looks like next.
Any questions?
Eileen, did any of my players encourage you to throw your hat in the ring?
No, I mean, these are not conversations you'd have with players. Of course, it's nice to hear positive feedback from the players throughout the campaign, and you know, that was what, you know, part of my role was to build the environment, and to hear that the players are happy in that environment and able to perform and maximise their potential is what the goal was. But in terms of a personal reason for applying, it's not about being influenced by you know, players or other external. It has to be right for me in that moment, and I felt that it was at that moment. And you know, if you're asking for a critical specific point where I changed my mind, it was standing in the rain in Albania. I mean, who wouldn't want to be there, you know? So look, yeah, it's nice to have positive feedback from players, but as an influence or a decision-making factor, it's not what, you know, what would have tipped me towards applying for the role.
What was there, in all seriousness, was there one specific moment that made you think, yeah, I think I can do this, I want to do this?
No, well, I mean, I think in terms of wanting to do this is not a new phenomenon that I wanted to be the head coach of Ireland. I've applied for the 2 previous roles and was unsuccessful, so this, you know, is a natural evolution. Had I stepped away from it? Yes, towards the head of women's football. Was I happy in that role? Absolutely. And then this opportunity came, and at first I was still very much tied to the head of women's football role, as you know from, you know, the initial questions for the first 6 weeks of the campaign. And then, as I said, I started to change my mind and started more enjoying the role. I felt comfortable in it, and so as I've said, I expressed an interest in to end the process.
Marc, can I just ask, in terms of the head coach as the title, as you mentioned, like what exactly will be delegated in terms of earnings? Like what will she delegate to other people within the wider Canham backroom team?
I think Eileen probably, I can give a bit of an answer to that, but I think Eileen should probably answer that in terms of the environment that you're leading, really. I think my point really is just that Eileen, as a head coach, is part of like a wider ecosystem that's trying to support the development of women and girls football. Absolutely, the head coach role of the senior national team is a critical role within that, but is part of a wider structure to support that. But Eileen's role is absolutely to focus on the performance of the team, get the maximum out of the players and the staff, and also as we move into the next 2 to 4 to 6 years is also transition, and which Eileen started to do already, the development of young players into the team and look at that next phase of the development of the team. But I think Eileen's probably better to answer what that looks like within the team.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we can get into linguistics here and words and pedantic around manager and head coach. It's essentially me overseeing or leading an interdisciplinary team. And what Marc mentioned earlier around leadership approaches, it's that approach to leading, you know, an interdisciplinary team of experts and using a leadership style which promotes shared expertise, and bringing in experts and allowing them to have the autonomy to perform their role while overseeing how that aligns to all our principles. So, yeah, it's still, you know, the leading role, but overseeing that interdisciplinary team and promoting that interdisciplinary approach and shared leadership with excellent team of staff, then that helps work with the players and maximise their potential.
What we were looking for in the head coach is a very inclusive, collaborative leader, has a clear vision, which we believe Eileen has all of those attributes. But also within the team and the staff, it's just that everyone's involved in that process. So when Eileen's talking about interdisciplinary, it basically just means that people are working together in a really cohesive and integrated way. I think that was absolutely key, and Eileen has demonstrated that in previous roles, in her head of women and girls role, and then really demonstrated it really well in the last few months with the team, and brought, you know, a new emphasis to the team and focus, which everyone has enjoyed and got maximum development out of.
Just a quick one. Congratulations, Eileen.
Thank you.
Just to both of you, is there an update on the backroom team? I'm aware the statement said it will be the new year, but just is there any update there?
Yeah, well, I mean, no detailed update except to reinforce that, yeah, early in the new year, then we'll hope to have a bit more detail for you.
And Eileen, just, I know you mentioned the head of women's and girls football before being the dream job.
Yeah.
What is this for you?
Yeah, I mean, this is also a dream job, you know, and if you look back at my career, I've always had that dual pathway of a development role and a coaching role, so those parallels have always been there. But like I said, I've been involved in this, I'm happy to disclose this now, been involved in this process before for 2 previous campaigns, so this is not new that I wanted this role. You know, I've engaged in professional development that would lead me to this role in terms of coaching, in terms of academic, in terms of my experience. So, yeah, this is, you know, this. Could you be any prouder, like, to represent your country, to have responsibility to maximise potential of this current team, to be able to transition young talent through, to be able to be involved in, you know, putting an emphasis on homegrown talent and still be able to work with Marc and develop those pathways. So it's still very much integrated in the development of women's football, except I get to lead out this wonderful team and, you know, hopefully to continue to drive the potential and consistently qualify then for major campaigns.
Like you mentioned, like a fairly detailed process there in terms of coming to Eileen as the eventual manager, but obviously she is vacating that role. Have you started the process of trying to replace her? Not just to tell Eileen not yet, but have you started that process, and what sort of levels of detail will be going into that, say, compared to this situation?
Just on your first point, I think when we started the process for Eileen's role, clearly the job was to recruit a new head coach. Pardon me. But there's also a talent ID project as well, so the women's coaching market is not quite the same as the men's. We didn't, being really open, we didn't know everyone in the market. We knew some people, obviously the close down, but so it was really important that we looked across the world genuinely to do that, and we spoke to people, like I said, at home, near home, and across the world, different experiences. But so we wanted to go and take our time, and we knew that Eileen was doing a good job as interim, so we thought stability and that was good for the players and for the staff, so it was absolutely key. And then, as I said, Eileen, as we know, Eileen came into the process, and we're pleased that she got the role. In terms of the head in women and girls role, we will advertise that almost immediately. We had some people that were part of the process before that we think would be good candidates for the role, but they would need to go through an interview process to do that. It's absolutely key to our progression and development of the wider game. Eileen has the privilege and amazing opportunity to leading the team and kind of spearheading that for the national team, but there's loads of work to do to capitalise on the momentum that we've got around women and girls football. Eileen and I were talking earlier, and the game is moving fast, women and girls football. You only have to look at the last World Cup, how competitive the competition was in comparison to, say, previous World Cups. So everyone is either catching up or accelerating. So I think the head in women and girls football, plus the combination with continuing to develop the national team, is absolutely critical, because we're at a really good point at the moment, and we want to make sure we stay there, but we also want to accelerate, and if we can, try and get ahead to the game. But we're very conscious that the game is moving fast, so having a head of women and girls football and structures around that is critical to success moving forwards. So we know we need to move quick, but we need to get the right person as well.
And Eileen, when I talked to you after the game in Belfast, I asked you what you're going to do for the next month, and you said sleep.
Yeah. I still haven't slept,
Obviously, there is still football to play. We have a qualification period coming up. Are there any teams, particularly that you would kind of like to see us coming up against, so that for you would be like, this is a cool career moment?
Yeah, I mean,
get to bring an Irish team against this team.
Yeah, I mean, I won't mention any particular or specific team, but yeah, we want to be challenged, but with higher level opposition and test ourselves, because that's the arena that we want to be in. It's the arena that we're in now in League A. It's the arena that we'll be in with successful qualification to the Euros. So, yeah, we want to play those big teams, and the team has, in the past and previous campaigns, they've played these teams. So we want to continue on with that and see how we can, adapt using different principles, or trying to work in different areas of the pitch and test ourselves in those moments. So.
Okay, guys, can I just ask before you go? Is the contract open-ended? Is it for one campaign?
Initially, it's to the end of the Euro 25 campaign, and then we'll assess things at that point.
And are you happy with that, Eileen?
I'm happy with that, Tony.